Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Our next guest says that you are the company you keep, so it's important to choose friendships that are helpful instead of harmful. Here to explain, we welcome back personal growth strategist and author of Build Your Village, Florence Ann Romano. It's so nice to see you.
So good to be with you, my friend. And I was just laughing at how popular this topic is. And it gets brought up even when I'm just having like morning coffee with my girlfriends, taking a walk around the neighborhood. It is so top of mind for so many people.
Well, tell me about this concept of friendship alignment. How do we define that and kind of apply it to our own friendships?
One of my girlfriends was saying to me recently, I've started to be a lot more intentional about how I make my friends because I was watching a segment that you did, which was a segment with you, by the way. And we were talking about that word, intention. And she said, when I started paying attention to how I was choosing my friends, I realized what was important to me, what wasn't important to me, and also kind of what scared me about my priorities. So we started peeling that back a bit, and it really plays into what we're talking about here in terms of alignment. What she was getting at and what we started to dissect was that what is important to her right now in terms of values. She was looking for that to be reflected in her friendships. But as she was doing that evaluation with her friends, she realized that not everyone has necessarily been on the same path as she has been. For better or worse, whatever it might be, they're just not in alignment anymore. And maybe that's religiously, politically, or just because it's their season of life has changed. Whatever the reason is that maybe that alignment isn't feeling as right as it was before, there's something there that's begging you to take a look at it. You're taking pause for a reason. So as we talk about alignment, we're really asking everyone to step back and say, is this serving me?
Right, like a simple question, does this friendship make me better? Does it lift me up? And that can be kind of tough to confront, I think, with certain relationships.
You know, you can never say that to a friend who's dating someone and be like, oh, I think they make you better, but, they don't really make you better, or vice versa, or whatever it is. But, you got to be careful with that, tread lightly. But in relationships too, though, friendships that also applies. Is this person making me better? I've said it on the program before. I'll say it again. One of my favorite lines, if you hang around garbage, you start to stink. And that is just the truth. And as you look at your friends, you start to realize that maybe they're not the best look. And that's maybe a crass way of putting it. But the truth is, you are an example of the people that you hang around with. And a friend of mine also was talking about how she's making different friendship choices because her daughter, who's 10 years old, is watching the relationships her mom has and paying attention to how they talk to each other on the phone, things that she'll say out loud or overhearing a conversation. And she realized, oh my gosh, not only are children sponges, but she's now starting to make choices in her friendship circles as a 10-year-old. And she's using me as a measuring stick, maybe without knowing it. Maybe it's a subconscious thing. But that to me is wild. And that gives me goosebumps because it just goes to show you that we have eyes watching us, whether they're little eyes or they're our friends. Our behavior, our values, how we talk about people, how we react, how we handle our emotions, how we have conversations, how we communicate, that this is not done in a vacuum, that we're not invisible. And we need to pay attention to how we feel, of course, in these relationships, but also how are we making others feel? How are we showing up in these friendships too? Are we our best selves around these people, around their children? Are we a good example, good role models? These are all questions that we need to ask ourselves, and some sound a little bit more a little heavier than others, and maybe some are a little bit more of a reflex naturally. But these questions don't stop. As we get older, hopefully we're making better decisions, though, as we learn more about ourselves and others.
Well, absolutely. And it makes sense that all of our friends aren't going to be exactly aligned with every thought. We're not all going to make the same choice in every scenario, right. But you want to have that mutual respect and also be able to respect your friends' choices and be able to sit with those and navigate that.
Absolutely. I have friends, all races, creeds, religions, political backgrounds. I was actually just telling a friend of mine too that I have a friend that I've never talked about politics with. We've been friends for like 30 years and we've never talked about politics, but she knows we're like, we both know we're on opposite
Yeah.
ends. We've never talked about it. I love her more than anything, respect her, think she's a wonderful person. And that's never come up in our relationship. Now, maybe in other relationships, that is a non-negotiable for you. That you only want to be friends that are going to see the world kind of the way you do through that political lens, or that could be religious too, whatever it might be. That's your choice. Those are your values. And we do have to learn a very old saying, which I think we need to bring back. I don't know how to do it. We can do it together maybe, but people really do need to learn to agree to disagree. They need to learn to respect each other for the things they have in common versus the differences. I think social media has played a big part into why we've become so divided and so divisive and so angry. And we don't lead with as much grace. We don't lead with as much compassion. These are things we need to practice in our circles, in our friendship circles, because then hopefully that's a ripple effect.
So if you could give me, we have like a minute left. What if you do find yourself in a situation where, hey, this friendship isn't really serving me? Is there a graceful way to back out of that?
I do think that there's a graceful way to do it based on your goal in that relationship. If you've been friends with that person for a while, you know their demeanor, you know their personality. Think about what the goal is. You can say what you mean without saying it mean, but have a conversation with yourself first before you're going to have a conversation with that person. And remember, you can stand up for yourself. You can speak with conviction without being cruel. And if it's someone that you don't know all that well, or you feel like maybe they're walking all over you, or you are putting in all the effort, they're putting in nothing, why don't you just gently start to fade away and dissipate and see what effort they put in? Maybe they'll just naturally go away too. And then that solves the problem for you without having to have an uncomfortable conversation.
There you go. Give them a chance and see where that path takes you. Hey, thank you so much, my friend. It's always so nice to see you.
So good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Florence Ann's book again is Build Your Village. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.